We're live.
We're live, and probably no one will see it
Woo!
until we share into the group.
Probably team replay until this gets shared in the group. I can ask, where else did we get this live show? Are we on LinkedIn right now?
We're on LinkedIn, YouTube,
LinkedIn.
and the good old Facebook.
Hey, if you're on LinkedIn and you're watching, give us a comment below. We would love to know if anyone on LinkedIn is watching live or replay on LinkedIn.
We'd love
love
to
it.
know. We'd love to know. Should we just delete our accounts?
Should we delete our LinkedIn account? That's a great question.
Do they have any value whatsoever? Like,
I
it's
think
just a big waste of time.
I think I will say, in defense of LinkedIn, this isn't how I expected this stream to start, but here we are. In defense of LinkedIn, I have made some meaningful connections through LinkedIn, like some bigger prospects. Honestly, I've had some great relationships through LinkedIn. So I say we keep it. That's my vote. We keep LinkedIn.
I say we keep LinkedIn. I logged into my LinkedIn a few days ago. I had, I believe, 350 some odd notifications.
Jeez.
and
they're all bots. It's all bots.
Probably the majority of it. Once in a blue moon, there'd be like a legitimate person that's like trying to do business with us. And then you're just like, sorry, we'll never see this. Because it's LinkedIn.
Should we tag everybody once you share it into the group? Maybe that's the way to do it.
Oh, not a bad idea.
So share it into the group, and then on the group post at everyone, and then maybe people actually be able to find us.
Let's do it.
Let's try it. And if you hate getting tagged, I'm sorry, but we have to do it.
Blame Facebook and StreamYard simultaneously.
Mark Zuckerberg, if you're looking to make a complaint,
that's who it should go to.
Mark Zuckerberg at facebook.com.
All right, the bomb has dropped for, I don't even want to say it. It's basically like a curse word at this point. At everyone. All right, so let's dive in.
Let's get to the meat and potatoes here. What are we talking about?
So the first question you might be asking yourself, if you're attending, if you're viewing this, is, what's the emergency? What's the emergency? I'll tell you what the emergency was. We held the event of the year a couple weeks ago.
100%.
And in doing so, there is a lot of recap that needs to take place and kind of talking about the summit, right? I'll start off by saying I feel like we had more overwhelming positive feedback than any year we did it. I felt like it was our best summit ever, and I felt like we had more of a challenge. If everybody even knew behind the scenes of what was going on surrounding the event in the business, we had a bigger challenge. We were, short staffed.
Less staff. Yeah, we had less staff than we were anticipating. We had to travel across the country, right? Collectively as a company, we are on the West Coast. So that was its own challenge. I mentioned it from stage, and I would say it again now. The sort of planning that goes into an event like this, we joked about like comparing it to planning for a wedding, but again, huge amount of time and effort and energy, and obviously a huge financial commitment in order to pull something like this off. And, as much as I would love to take all the credit for myself, really a good hats off, round of applause to the entire team at CBIS, ESI, everyone who contributed. It was an incredible event. And if you weren't there, you absolutely missed out. You don't have to take our word for it. If you search for the summit, you're going to see it really went viral after the fact. Post after post after post after post of people commenting about how much fun they had, how much they learned, how great the content was, how great Savannah was. Like, I was blown away by the positive feedback.
I found myself every year when we do a summit, I always prepare a lot for my presentations. Like I always want them to be good. And I always have this anxiety going in that people like aren't going to like it. It feels like no matter when I do a training, like I did a training this morning for our our university members, plug to the university. And, I did a telesales, how to sell over the phone training. And I was kind of up late last night, kind of preparing it, kind of putting it together. And I'm like, oh, no one's going to like this. It's not going to be good. I'm like, that's just how I am, I guess. And I go through the training and I felt like it went great. And we just got overwhelming emails, feedback from people that were on the call this morning. There's only about 50 people on the call. And, I must have got 20 emails being like, that was phenomenal. Thank you. Like, that was great. And I have the same feeling with every summit that the presentation's not going to be good, or they're not going to like it, or it's not going to resonate, or anything like that. And it's always really incredibly misguided, because the feedback seems to grow year after year after
100%.
year. It just seems like the event continues to get better and better and better. And yeah, I mean, this year was absolutely phenomenal. I said from stage that we lost 10,000 on the event. We actually probably lost more than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
especially now that we have final numbers.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and people asked both of us, right? But they asked us several times when we were together throughout the event, why aren't we doing it next year? Well, that
Right.
was really why. Like the time investment, right? The investment of
Should
money,
we talk?
resources.
Maybe this might be a good time to like give everyone the full story on that whole situation, because a lot of people probably think it was just a stunt, and it became a stunt. It became we were trying to build hype, build excitement, but the reality is we did kill the event. There was a
We did.
period of time.
We
There
did.
was a period of time when 2025 Summit was dead. So that was real, and it was based on this huge amount of energy and money that goes into the event, you know, that we didn't want to do it again. We
Yeah.
didn't want to have all of this time, energy, and focus. Again, we're trying to grow the agency. We're trying to grow a downline. We're trying to grow virtual assistant platform. We're trying to grow our brand new CRM. We're trying to grow a marketing company. Like, we have a lot going on. In case you didn't know, if you're a first time listener, our day to day is insane. Trying to spin all
Wild.
these companies, to try to spin, like, it is an acid trip, I would say, on a day to day bit. Like, it's like hallucinating. You're like, what is going on? What company are we talking about right now? So
Right.
to have this summit on top of all of that, it was just a lot of extra work.
Right. And like, ultimately, when we had the conversation of like, okay, how can we reduce? I think what makes our company, our overall company, so unique is that we do so many different things. We're so widespread from the standpoint that we can provide so many services to agents in so many different ways, clients as well, of course. But when we had that conversation of what does it make sense to cut, the summit was the first thing on the chopping block, because it wasn't making money.
Right.
And it obviously was as big of a time investment as most things that we were doing. It was definitely up there. And as Glenn said, it was not a marketing ploy by saying we were going to get rid of it and then being like, Tom Brady, I'm back. Like, it wasn't that. By the way, it was Brett Favre before Tom Brady.
Okay.
Tom Brady just
throwing it back.
Just did the Brett Favre, just in case anybody's wondering.
That's
but
fair.
But yeah, I mean, it was really one of those things where I think it was 2 weeks before the event, we had a conversation about maybe we should run it back. Probably 2 weeks before the event, I want to say, that we started having the conversation.
Yeah, and really what happened is there was this outpour of pre-summit ticket sales and last minute sponsorships, and just the overall feeling that we were getting is that a lot of people were interested in this. And even if it's not a moneymaker, if it's something where we can help bring the industry together, help be a part of the conversation, which is why Joe wants to know why. Where do you, I had it off screen before? Okay, where do you want my microphone, Joe? Like, come on. But if we could be a part of the conversation, which again, that's always been. Now I'm self-conscious, Joe. Now I had to push it off camera. That's all your fault, Joe.
What up, brother? What up, brother?
The whole point of doing stuff like what we do when we started podcasting, we wanted to be a part of the conversation, right? Like, we want to be a part of the conversation, and the summit is a big way that we can still do that. And so, yeah, that's why we decided to run it back. So again, we will have the link in the comments. If you want to be at the next summit, if you want to go to 2025 Summit in Salt Lake City, I said this at the event in Savannah. I said, we might not be the biggest, but I do think that we are the best Medicare event every year.
Hands down.
Yeah, I don't even think it's close, to be honest. And that's the feedback I get over and over and over from agents that I speak to. Maybe there's a few silent haters out there, if you're watching, hey. But the link to the 2025 Summit will be in the comments below this video. Buy a ticket now. We sold out about 6 weeks before 2024 Summit. The rate of tickets that are being sold right now will probably sell out months ahead of time. Unless we somehow can get more people in the building, and we don't know if we're even going to be able to do that.
There's this ever-running relationship with a gentleman by the name of the Fire Marshal, and we'll have to dance with Mr. Fire Marshal when the time comes, depending on the demand, of course. But guys, we're over 50% sold out, like Glenn said. We are over 50% sold out. And yeah, I mean, the demand for this year was enormous. And then I think what really was eye-opening for me was the just outpouring of love and affection for the event when it was announced that it was going to go away. Like, my phone rang off the hook. Anybody that had my cell phone number that saw that post probably called. It seemed like it. Got so many messages, people reaching out, and just really a sad feeling. They're like, no, like, this is my favorite event. I love this event. This event's tremendous. I missed last year, but I went year one. I'm coming back this year. Like, all of these, different kind of communications. And, I think for me, this is how I describe the event. The event is my baby. It started up here for me, and I just, because I didn't have enough to do, I guess.
Clearly. You clearly don't.
I decided to start doing the event, and Glenn inherited the event. The event is his stepchild.
It is.
And stepchildren kind of grow on you, right? Like, for any of you that are step parents out there, I'm not a step parent. I just assume they grow on you. I'm just kind of guessing.
Man, it's always this game of, are we going to get canceled every time we live stream?
Probably depends on the stepchild, but
for all you step parents out there, thanks for tuning in.
Then there goes half our audience.
Hang on.
I think no, but so a couple
let me
of questions.
Let me drive the step. I'll drive the stepchild. If you're at the summit, again, this is a throwback to the summit. This is where all the step references. Yes, that is Christian and I. We are step brothers officially. At least we're not husband and wife. We're just step brothers, guys.
I was afraid that's where it was going to go. The way things were going at the event.
Is there a couples massage option for next year? We could plan that. Maybe
it could become a thing.
Yeah, that could become a thing.
There's been so what I wanted to take some time and kind of cover with you guys. I do want to recap the event, and I do want to talk about a little bit more in detail. Before we do that, though, I want to answer some questions, right? So I've been asked probably 600 times now when the recording is going to be available. I got an email yesterday from the company that filmed it that said we should have the footage today. Now, I'm way behind on my emails. I don't know if that came in or not. I don't know.
This guy's live reaction. I didn't know this. live reaction. I thought it would take weeks. That's crazy.
They promised us 7 days. We used the same company last year, and I was like, you guys said that last year too, and it didn't happen. I was kind of like a little brat on the call, but they delivered. I don't know if it's 7 business days. I'm not really counting, but I'm happy that it's
Yeah.
in. So it's going to take us a little bit more time to go through the footage, make sure that it's ready for you guys and kind of get it out to you. So give us a little grace, give us a little bit of time. But yes, Joe, you can definitely do
Yeah.
that.
You can Venmo me that money actually
Yes.
directly.
But we will be sending it out. Now, for those of you that are attended the event, you don't have to buy the recording if you want the recording.
Yes.
You don't. It's part of your ticket. We're going to be sending it out to you automatically if you attended the event. However, if you didn't attend the event and you had the FOMO and you really felt like you missed out on the content, the recording is available as an option. And right now, the recording, it was available pre-sale for under $100. Now it's $197. And highly recommend getting it. A ton of people have taken advantage of it. We sold more recordings this year than I think any year. And I think the value is there. And I think, you can still extract tremendous value by going through it on your own time and implementing it. It's the next best thing to being there in person. So you definitely want to make sure to take advantage of the recording. However, if you were there, please don't buy it so we don't have to refund you. Please. I'm begging you.
I'm sure we're going to get a few of those despite saying that. The cost of this recording is also going to be going up.
Yes.
When you look at, again, the cost that attendees to the summit had to endure to see this content for the 2024 summit, I mean, you're talking about travel, right? Some people traveled further than others. I came from Oregon. Christian came from Utah. We spent a lot of money on travel.
Yeah.
You've got the cost of the hotel, right? That's something you're going to have to pay for. I don't know, 700. Would you say? What was the average cost for a 3-night stay, you think?
It was probably at least that. It might have been closer to 800 with all the fees and taxes and everything like that.
So, I'd say $1,000 for airfare, potentially Ubers, right? Whatever for your travel costs. Then you got 800 for the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got to pay 500 for your ticket, unless you got it at a discounted rate. So now you're looking at what, 2,300 plus any other additional expenses. So the people who actually attended the event made a huge investment to be able to get access to the content. There's more going on than just content at the summit. There's networking, there's sponsors there. We had the welcome party. Like, there is a lot of other stuff that obviously at home you don't get to partake in, but the content itself was so good, especially this year. So that is really the main reason why we're making that cost go up to $297. So that will be the final price point for the recording. I think that's a steal. You're getting what, 13, 14, 15 different speakers? I mean, how many segments did we have on stage?
I believe with you and me together, if you count us, which you should.
Count us twice.
Count
us twice, please. Thank you.
I believe it was 14 speakers.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple of panels involved. The top producer panel was a hit. Everybody on that panel was terrific, knocked it out of the park. I enjoyed that. That was one of the highlights for me personally, was that panel. And then the technology panel with Nathan was terrific. Everybody got to be introduced to Nathan, or Tech Guy, as I...
Tech Guy.
Were you just horrified when I said that into the mic from the stage? I'm like, Nathan's our Tech Guy.
I was like, if I jump head first off the stage, I'm like, is this stage high enough? Can I end it in one jump? No.
Maybe next year. Maybe the stage will be that big next year.
I need an 8-foot stage, at least, maybe 15 feet. We'll have to talk to the hotel.
And then the virtual assistant panel with Lisa was absolutely phenomenal. And she was just an absolute rock star on that. And I mean, there's so many moments you can take from the stage and the content. And I think it was just so unique. I mean, especially when there's so many events out there nowadays that, content is really not a priority for a lot of events these days. It's more about vendors or networking. Not that we didn't have networking, we had tremendous networking, but we had the content and the networking. And then, of course, there's a lot of pitching at events these days, and we didn't have really any pitching. I mean, it was all about the content and the value.
And I want to go on record too, saying that like I watched almost every single person speak live. I got a ton of value and takeaway from the speakers myself personally. I'm not a new agent by any means, kind of been around the block a few times, right? And there are things that I still think about that I heard from stage where I'm like, man, I'll just mention one kind of randomly right now, just a little tidbit for you guys that I loved so much. Luke, what's his last name? The CEO of Luke Acree. Shout out to Luke Acree, Reminder Media's
awesome.
CEO.
He was phenomenal.
So great. But there's a Christian and I have been having this debate for months. How many touch points?
Yeah.
How many touch points for the book of business, right? You want to stay in front of these seniors. You want to stay in front of your book of business. Send an email, send a text message, have an assistant call, an agent call, all the different ways you can stay in contact with someone, paid ads, social media, etc. It goes on and on and on and on. And we're always debating there's a number. I always feel like there's a number. Like I could be like 13, 27. And he literally brings up this exact topic. And then he's like, here's the answer. And the answer was just more.
Yes.
Just more. That was it. The answer is more. The answer is that you're not doing enough right now. Doesn't matter how many times you're touching your clients. Doesn't matter if you're reaching out twice a day. You can do more. And you can do it in a way that's not spammy, that's not annoying. You can have more touch points. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, that one hit me right between the eyes. I was like, okay. I'm like, we don't need to talk about the number anymore, Yeah. Because the number is irrelevant, right? Like, who cares? It's just more.
Yeah, that stood out to me a lot as well. I think we were sitting next to each other when that I remember
yeah.
And it was very Cardone-esque-ish, in terms of that type of philosophy. That's what it reminded me of, which is right up my alley. You know what I mean? Like that's right up kind of my philosophy and kind of my way of belief of doing business. And he was so good. Everybody was good. There was not a down speaker. You know what I mean? Like everybody was just terrific. Everybody killed it.
Tons of value.
And the amount of people that I talked to that showed me a notebook, not a page, not a few pages, a notebook full of notes and takeaway.
Didn't someone post in the group that they had 47 pages of notes or something insane?
Mm-hmm.
That's insane to me. But I also believe that to be true. Because there's so much going on that you could have taken notes on. And it could have been a vendor out in the hall. It could have been someone that you spoke to at lunch. It could have been something that happened on stage. Mm-hmm. There's so much going on. I absolutely believe there's hundreds of pages of notes that could have been taken. So
yeah.
But I think that goes a long ways to speak to the value. So the link for the recording is in the comments below this video. $197 for the next 10 days, or just $200. While most people spend over $2,000 to actually see this content live, you can get a recording for a 1/10 of that price right now. Mm-hmm. But just for the next 10 days, July 1st, it's going to $297. And I couldn't be more excited to, even at that price point, I think there's so much value jam-packed into the recording of these speakers at the summit. I think for this AEP, especially with everything going on, you guys need this information. That AEP, this coming AEP was talked about quite a bit. The changes, what to expect, how to handle it. If you're wondering at all about what to do for AEP, this recording will be super beneficial.
And it was very tailored to the content. So much of it was tailored to what the current landscape is going to look like.
Right.
whether it be from a compliance perspective, a marketing perspective, an AEP structure perspective of
Yep.
how you should be doing outreach, and how you should be kind of expecting this AEP to look, so relevant. And it's going to be,
100%.
it's more relevant today than it's ever going to be, right? Like this is the
Right.
time for this content to be utilized. And yeah, I mean, it was just a celebration of some of the best minds we have in the space sharing their ideas and their perspective of what you should be doing to grow your business right now. And based on the current landscape, by the way, shout out to Fred Roth and Humana. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you guys. Loved having you guys there.
Yes.
Super, super appreciative. And there's few people in this industry that are better people than Fred. So Fred is the man.
And thank you to all of our sponsors.
All of their sponsors.
Yeah, we had a
Yes.
ton of sponsors. I would love to take a second and thank all of them. It really helped make the event great. It wouldn't have been possible without all the sponsors that were able to come. Shout out to some of the last minute sponsors who weren't able to even get onto some of the merch that we gave out, but you guys still signed up and got a table and came out anyways. I thought the sponsors were great. I saw so much value in just having all those people in one room together. You know, we talk about the saying, you know, it's almost cliche, and I almost hate to say it, but it's like, get in the room, right? Like,
Yep.
get in the room. Like, you don't know what's going on. You're worried about AEP, you know, get in the room.
Get in the room, because the people in the room are going to have a much better idea of what to do than you will at home on your couch.
Yes.
Without a doubt, you know, especially if it's the right room. And I believe that the summit was the right room. It's the room that you'd want to be in. It wasn't a room that you were there to be pitched. You know what I mean? Like, it was a room where you were there to be poured into. And that's exactly what happened. And I believe that's kind of how the audience left feeling, is they felt poured into, you know, that their business's benefit was the primary objective from every speaker. And yeah, guys, I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult to kind of put it into words too much on more than that about the event. But yeah, I mean, it was such a great event. But we're excited for next year too. You know, we're excited for next year. I think next year is going to be even better. But the time to really access the material of the recording is now. So you guys are going to want to get into that recording. You can write an app right now, like one Medicare Advantage plan, and let's say it's a rewrite and it's prorated, and it's still going to cover the cost of this recording. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like,
yes.
it's going to be prorate. You know what I mean?
Great.
Like,
Yeah, that's crazy. When you put it like that, it's crazy. You know,
you could sell a couple dental plans and cover what this costs.
you could sell like a $5,000 final expense policy at like, you know, $20 a month. Like, I mean, just like nothing. It's nothing compared to the value that you're going to receive if you actually implement what is being taught. You know, obviously, more touch points. Okay, Glenn, how does that help me? You know, well, if you have the ability to make any number of touch points, I'm saying, you know, you crank the dial up, but you have to crank that dial yourself. I can't go into your business and crank that dial for you. You know, like, you have to implement the strategies and the information to get the ROI. You know, we can bring the horse to water. We can't necessarily get you guys to drink it, but that's the goal, right? The goal is to collectively bring this information together. And again, that's what's on the recording, right? Is this collective of information. And if you can really take it in and implement it, you'll 100% see an ROI on that 197. I mean, you'll get probably a 20x ROI by implementing one thing. I mean, like, literally a 20x ROI, implement one strategy. You go from 10 touch points to 15 touch points over the next 6 months, 20x ROI or more. You know,
your conversion rate skyrockets. I mean, it doesn't take 15 great ideas to transform your business. It takes one transformational idea.
Yeah.
And
one implemented idea, right?
Yes,
You could
one
have
implemented idea.
100 ideas, right? One implemented idea can actually be the difference maker, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
big time.
100%. Um, yeah, guys, I, I also wanted to say that, we're overwhelmed by the support for next year already. All of you that have bought tickets, super appreciative and so glad to have you be coming back next year. Um, I think the event is something that this was, in my opinion, the hardest year of the event by far, because
Yeah,
this was the first year we lost money. Not that we ever made a lot of money on the event. It was like peanuts, but at least we weren't losing money. It's tougher when you're losing money, and we lost money this year. We lost,
for sure.
a couple five figures maybe. And so
We
so
don't want to know the exact number, to be
we don't need
honest.
to we don't need to
We
talk
don't
about
need to
that.
know. Yeah, we don't need to talk about
No. But we'd never lost money on the event before. This was the toughest year, but it was also the most gratifying because of how well the event went, and
that.
how
Yes,
much all of you guys loved it, and how much all of you guys really enjoyed it and got all the value out of it. So um, I'm super pumped and excited for it to be next year. And I'm super excited for as many people as possible to get their hands on the recording and access the material, because just because you didn't attend the event in person and see the material live doesn't mean the material holds any less value for you now. So, um, yeah, I mean, again, don't want to sound like a broken record. Get the recording while you can. Within 10 days, it will be going up in price to in the
yes.
ballpark of about $300, I believe. Um, so get it for less now. Um, and you won't
You
be
know what?
sorry that you did.
You know what I was thinking we should do, because like I don't feel like that gives people enough information. What I was thinking we should do is get like that list of speakers, get a list of everything that was on stage, right? So that way everyone can really see,
Mm.
who was up there. Maybe I don't know if we want to include like maybe like the title. Maybe there's like one line of, what they were talking about, what was going on, but I think that might help you guys, because again, I'm thinking about like the speaker lineup. A lot of these people you probably know, or you've heard of their company before. And so when you get to see that, I think it would really sell. The recording would sell itself at that point.
Hmm.
If you and you can see obviously like the schedule for last year's summit, like it's on the website. I think it's still there. So some of this information you can already find, but I was thinking of putting that together for you guys so you can really see just a true list of the individuals who spoke, maybe a sentence about what they spoke about, and that way, okay, wow, 15 different sessions, whatever it ends up being, 14, 16. Um, Again, all it takes is one idea from one person to have a huge impact on your business. There's stuff that I'm taking away for sure, where I'm like, we need to do this and
Hmm.
we're going to do this. I'm going to implement this right now, you know?
And the diversity of speakers too.
Yeah.
Like, you ever been to an event where like every speaker says the same thing pretty much?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
know, like the first time, the first person that goes up, you're like, yeah.
Yeah. That was
And then
great. And then it's like,
and then the
oh,
next and then the second
again.
person, it's like, oh, okay, that's great, but that's cool, but not as good as
Mhm.
the first time. The third person, you're like, you know, the diversity of speakers we had. We had digital marketing experts, several
Yep.
take the
Yep.
stage. We had sales trainers um, and promoters take the stage. We had AI experts take the stage. We had top
Yes.
producers take the stage. Um, so much. We had high level agency builders take the stage, that kind of see the industry from a very different perspective.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, there's so much there in terms of that. And yeah, I mean, that's a great way I think to look at it. Is there's a lot of diversity, um, in kind of what those speakers kind of brought
Do you
to the
have,
table.
is there anything similar like what I said about Luke? Like, was there any like one liner from a presentation that like hit you between the eyes where you're like, oh man, we need to be doing this? Is there anything that stands out to you?
There's several. Picking one
Prob-
is probably the
Probably a lot from me, I'm guessing, that you're having to
yeah.
sift through right now, where you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's Glenn, you know.
And it's not like I have access to you or anything like that. And
Yeah,
and I
yeah, you know,
I I hear these things on a
yeah.
regular basis. Um, I think one thing that really kind of jumped out at me was some of the statistics that Lester shared
Oh yeah.
from the stage.
Yep.
Um,
Those were
in
great.
in terms of like enrollments by carrier per agent, in terms of percentage of agents that don't renew their license, and then in
Yeah.
terms of like what we're facing with the upcoming AEP. Um, and what I really got out of his presentation more than anything else, and there's a lot more covered than just this, um, was if you've been asleep at the wheel during AEP these last 3 years, and you think your clients are just going to stay with you, it's not going to be that way this year.
Yep.
Nope. Like there's too much disruption going on, and if you're not ready, and you don't have a plan of action and a plan of attack, you're going to lose a lot of business.
Yep.
And
Retention.
and that is very, very true. Um,
And the funny part is it got me excited though. I went from like feeling fearful when he's going through this whole presentation to I'm excited about the opportunity of AEP this year,
mhm.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, where disruption lies, there's always massive opportunity.
Yes.
And I think he did such an excellent job at articulating that as he always does. And um, but yeah, his if I had to pick one, there's a lot that I could go to, but that's one in particular that was super, um, I believe, very powerful and very relevant and real. We're just a little bit over
Yeah.
90 days from October 1st, guys.
Yeah.
Like I don't know
It's
if you guys realize
crazy.
that.
Yeah. It's
Um,
gonna be here like that.
and it's important to be prepared. We're doing a lot of work right now to be ready for AEP. We're doing
Yeah.
a lot of work internally. So not only can we retain, but in addition to that, we can capture the widest net possible and bring in as much new business as we possibly can. Both of
I,
those are going to be accomplished this year.
I I was talking to an agent today and I said, I'm like, there's just 90 days basically till AEP. I'm like, you realize that? Like you realize it's like 3 months. I'm like, we're like operating like AEPs tomorrow. Like
Yep.
that's like the mindset that Christian and I have because again, we know it's going to be here that fast. So it's
Yep.
like there are things that you should be doing now or getting ready to do if you're not already because AEP is going to be here that fast. It's going to literally snap your fingers. You're going to wake up. It's October 1st. So now is the
Mhm.
time for sure. Christian, any final thoughts regarding 2024 Summit that you'd like to share with everybody before we have to get off the live stream today?
Yeah, I think the what comes to mind is it was a flawless event from not only the content, which we've talked about plenty, but just everything. I remember there was a moment where we were there the first day, and it's caught on the vlog. If you haven't checked out the vlog, go to my YouTube channel. There's, I think, 2 of them up now. I don't know how many we're going to post, 19. I don't know. Um, but it's behind the scenes look at the event because one of our team members was there and filming behind the scenes stuff the entire time. He did a great job. But there's a moment where we're on the ferry, we're on the boat crossing the river, and you just see the hotel in the background, and it's a perfect sky. It's beautiful. And I remember thinking back to that moment. I'm like, this is freaking awesome. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
like this, and the event hadn't even started yet, and like, so everything from the content to the location was perfect for, I feel like, what this year needed to be. Um, and yeah, I think it was not only super valuable, but it was so much fun. Everybody had so much fun. Um, yeah, I mean, it was a perfect mixture of everything. I feel like for what the agents needed this year.
I agree. I agree. As someone who has attended every single summit and now co-hosted the most recent summit, I can tell you that the content was definitely the best that we've ever had. that overall, I think this was the best summit so far that we've ever had. If you are having FOMO, if you weren't able to get there, the recording is going to be the next best thing.
Yep.
Take advantage of the 197 price point while you can for the next 10 days. That will get you some of that core information that was shared at the summit, even though you weren't able to go, and you can implement a lot of these ideas before AEP this year. You got plenty of time. So outside of that, we're looking forward to seeing you guys in Salt Lake City in 2025. We already have some great ideas kind of surrounding what next year is going to look like. And I'm super excited as we're going to continue to put that event together. And you'll see, I'm sure, more information. We'll be sharing that with you guys as soon as we have more info to share. But that would really be my final thoughts on the 2024 Summit recap.
Love it. Recording will be able to be ready to be sent out, I would say, in the next week or two. So hop in now and make sure that you get that recording, guys. We'll make sure that they're in all the links. We'll make sure there's links for them in all of the places this video is being shared.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks so much for tuning in to the emergency today. And we'll see you next time there's an emergency.
That's right.
See you guys.